For generations, people have tried to describe this land. Travelers cross these hills and search for words. Musicians sang about it. Writers tried to explain what they felt when they saw these landscapes. And somewhere along the way, a phrase began to appear. A phrase that felt bigger than the country itself. They began to call Burundi the heart of Africa. But why? What makes this country carry such a powerful name? To understand this answer, you must travel slowly across this land, across its hills, its culture, its rhythms. Caught somewhere between the mountains, the drums, the lake, and the people lies the reason why many believe this country holds something essential, something central, something alive. This is the story of how Burundi became known as the heart of Africa. And this is the Burundi I know. If you travel across Burundi slowly, something becomes obvious very quickly. The hills never stop. You climb one hill, another appears behind it. You reach the top, and the horizon reveals even more. Hill after hill, valley after valley, the landscape moves like waves. Unlike countries with wide plains, Burundi feels intimate. Each hill hides another community. Each valley reveals another life. Villagers sit quietly on slopes. Fields follow the curves of the land. Footpaths climb over ridges and disappear into valleys. The country does not stretch outward. It rises, falls, and rises again. And that movement shapes everything. These hills are not accidental. Millions of years, the earth beneath this region began to move. Burundi lies close to one of the most dramatic geological systems on Earth, the Great Rift Valley. This enormous system stretches thousands of kilometers across East Africa. Deep forces inside the planet slowly lifted and folded the land. But the land did not rise evenly. Instead, it rolled upward. Over time, mountains softened into highlands. And those highlands became the rolling hills we see today. Much of Burundi sits between 1,400 and 2,000 meters above sea level. And that altitude, instead, the earth forms waves. And those waves became Burundi's hills. But these hills hold another quiet secret. They sit near one of the most important water divides in Africa. Geographers call it the Congo-Nile divide. From other hills, water flows westward toward the Congo River, one of the largest river systems on Earth. Two great rivers, two vast directions, separated by these highlands, which means that the landscape of Burundi sits quietly between two of Africa's greatest water systems, a place where geography connects distant parts of the continent. And when you stand on these hills long enough, something becomes clear. This land is not only beautiful, it is central. For centuries, people adapted their lives to this terrain. Homes were built along slopes, paths connected neighbors across ridges, farms followed the natural curves of the land. Banana trees grow near homes, beans and maize stretch across hillsides, and coffee, one of Burundi's valuable crops, thrives in these highlands. A single hill can contain an entire world. Homes, fields, children walking to school, neighbors greeting each other across valleys. Life moves vertically, up the hill, down the hill, across the ridge, over generations. People learned to work this land, not against it.
Abasasu bo muri Soro, bene Musasu bo kwa Rugonyagi na bimwe b'amahanga.
In many countries, people introduce themselves by mentioning the city. In Burundi, something different happened. People often mention the hill where they were born, the hill where their parents lived, the hill where their childhood memories began. Because here is not just geography, it is identity. It represents belonging, history, community. Even when people move to the city, they still remember the hill that shaped them. The hill become part of who they are. But Burundi is not only hills. Its culture carries something equally powerful. One of the most famous symbols of Burundi is the royal drum tradition. For centuries, these drums represented unity, celebration, and national identity. When the drums sound, they carry history. Their rhythm echoes across generations. Alongside them are the Inhode dancers. Their movements are powerful and disciplined. Each step reflects pride and tradition. The dancers are not simply performers, they are guardians of memory. Together, the drums and their dances remind us that Burundi's heart is not only geographic, it is cultural. Beyond the hills, Burundi also holds remarkable natural beauty. Hidden waterfalls appear quietly within the landscape. They do not roar like giant waterfalls. Instead, they flow gently through the hills. Calm, patient, almost sacred. And then there is Lake Tanganyika, one of the oldest lakes on Earth, formed millions of years ago as the land shifted along the Great Rift Valley. Today, it is the second deepest freshwater lake in the world. For centuries, The lake connected communities across Central Africa. At sunset, when the sky reflects across the water and mountains fade into the horizon, Burundi feels vast, even though the country itself is small. So why did people start calling Burundi the Horn of Africa? Part of the answer is geography. Burundi lies near the center of the African continent within the Great Lakes region. But the phrase also refers to something deeper, a rhythm of life, a connection between land and community, traditions carried across generations, landscapes shaping identity. The heart is something central, something essential, something alive. And many who experience Burundi feel that rhythm. The hills of Burundi have watched generations grow. They have seen villages form. They have seen children become parents. They have seen change arrive slowly. Today, Burundi is connected to the modern world. Cities grow, technology spreads, young people connect globally, but the hills remain. They still guide memory. They still remind people where they come from. Travel across Burundi long enough and something becomes clear. The hills never truly end. Each road reveals another ridge, each valley reveals another story. Perhaps that is why people search for words strong enough to describe this land. And some finally chose a simple phrase, the heart of Africa. And that is the Burundi I know.